Hello, welcome back. This is Jeff Byers. I'm the instructor for this course, and we're going to talk about how to get started, how to set up your project for the Unreal Engine before we get started with our project. So the next thing you want to do before you start up your engine is you want to check out and see how much hard drive space you have. So I'm going to go in and just type in File. And I got my File Explorer. You can just type in File Explorer, click on that, and you want to go to your hard drive. So your C drive, this is where most of your software programs will want to nest and run from your C drive. If you happen to have a computer with a second drive, that's probably what you're going to use. If not, then you're going to want to right click over your C drive, go to Properties, and find out how much free space you have, because this is what you're going to run off of. All right. Now, if you notice that you have very limited space, you want to have at least 20 gigabytes free, at least that much, to even install Unreal. Okay, it's a big program. And in Unreal 5.7 is even worse. That's like 40 gigabytes. So it takes a lot of resource to have the newest and greatest, okay? Just keep that in mind. So I have a second drive. And I'm going to right click over that, go to my properties. And you can see my second drive now has got a lot more free space, okay? Still kind of limited, 273 gigabytes. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's really not when you're creating your own games and stuff and environments, okay? So just kind of realize that the game environments can be quite large. So let me give you an example of some of the game environments I've done so far, which is quite a few. So my courtyard is probably the biggest one I have, right? And I'm going to double click on that. And you can see that if I double click on this, it would automatically open up the Unreal Engine. Okay, it will find it and open it up. That's one way of opening your stuff. All right, so it goes by folders. So we're going to have to create your own folder, but I'm going to take you through how big this is. So I'm going to right click over and go to Properties. This is kind of going to give you kind of an idea. This one by itself, with all my stuff that I have in there, all my assets, is 26.1 gigabytes. That gives you kind of a idea. Now, some of my other ones aren't so big. So if I go in here and I go into Unreal Projects, let's say that one here. I've got some simple ones like a beach or an island. Let's take a look at that one. That one's 1.2 gigabytes, so it's really small. If you click on that, you can see I've got this island started. I don't have a lot of assets, that's why. Sci-Fi Hallway, let's check that one. That's a little bit bigger, I think. Yeah, 6.88 gigabytes. So let's say between 6 and 20 at the max, right? So 6 to 20 gigs for each project. So that kind of gives you an idea of how much space you need, okay? All right, so what you want to do is you want to create a folder. So go ahead and create a folder called Unreal Projects. Just type it up, Unreal Projects. You're not sure how to do that, you can just go in here to New. Okay, you got a folder up here. So if you're on your data drive or your C drive or your D drive, whatever, click on New, and you want to click on New Folder. And you want to call it Unreal Projects or something like that, right? Unreal Assignments or whatever you want to call it. It's up to you what you want to call it. So I called mine Unreal Project. So you want to double click on that, and you want to right click over it and go to New Folder. So you're going to have only one folder in there right now. So what you want to do, and you want to just put your first initial last name underscore mod01 and underscore 02 and underscore 03. So your first three modules will be in here. We're going to run off that one project, right? Okay. So when we get to it, I'm going to show you what you do with this folder, because Unreal is like Maya. You need to have a folder structure. You need to create that folder structure first before this will work. So we want all our projects now are module 1, 2, and 3, which is going to be 3 parts. 1, 2, and 3. One is modeling, one is texturing, and one is finishing up and presenting. So and adding our assets and building everything. So that is what we're going to be doing. So there's nothing in here, right? Not yet. All right, so let's click off of here. You got your new folder on your hard drive, and you can do, that's the same thing you'll do on your hard drive. Okay, you'll create a large folder called Unreal Projects, and then you're going to create another subfolder with your name and module 1, 2, and 3, right? So go through the process really quick here, and we're going to go to Unreal Launcher, and this is going to open this up, and I'm going to go to my library, and I'm going to click on Launch 4.27. I'm going to pause this as I launch this. It takes a while. Okay, so here we go. So now it's going to come up with these things. It's basically show you what you have available from your latest one. So I have this Courtyard I've done. That's the one with the 20 gigs or 26 gigs. And I'm not going to click on that because that's not what you're going to want to do. So you can see I've got a lot of stuff. You won't see any of this stuff until you do your first project, right? So I'm going to go back. This is what you're going to do. You're going to start your first game, right? So we're not doing film and television. We're not going to do architecture. We're not going to do automotive. Maybe you want to sometime, but we're not going to do that right now. So we're going to click on games, right? Click on games, click on next, okay? And first person shooter, we got a flying, we got a puzzle, we got a rolling third person, top down, twin stick shooter, handheld, lots of stuff in here. Lots of stuff in here we can do. But we can't do any of that stuff except for the first person and the third person. The first person you want to have when you're going into architecture that's like low ceilings and stuff. You can't use third person. It won't work very well. So I usually do third person for exterior stuff, architectural or exterior landscape stuff. So we're going to click on first person. All right. And then we're going to click on next. Okay. And in here, you're going to see we've got maximum quality. Now, you do not want to change this. You don't want to turn this on. Let me tell you, even my system, I got a pretty, you've seen what I have. I have an Alienware, and it's I think it's a 2080 Ti card. I'd never turn ray tracing enabled. Don't do that. Keep ray tracing disabled. And then we're going to leave all the rest of the stuff. You want your starter content. You absolutely want that. And then in here, this is where we tell where we want our project to be stored. So I'm going to click on these 3 dots, right? Okay. So I'm going to find where I need to be. So I'm going to click on, I'm going to go up 1, and I'm going to go down to my Unreal Projects, right? Okay, Unreal Projects, there it is. So if you did it on your hard drive, then you want to go to your hard drive, your external hard drive, or whatever, wherever you've got this folder in, and double click on it. And then you're going to see this folder here, your name and your module 1, 2, and 3. So let's double click on that. And this is the folder you want everything to go to. So, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to always run your stuff off of this folder for this project, okay? Because we're going to do an interior project. So this is where we're going to create a folder. So select that folder, okay? And now you've got that folder. And what is the name of your project? Okay, let's just call it what it is. Interior room underscore. Now, that may be too long. Let's just do room, interior room, all one name, interior room. Okay, that's going to be your project name. And let's click on create project. So now it's going to go through this whole thing of creating a project and stuff. This may take a while. Oh, there it is. Okay, great. So that's what it looks like. So, and then I'm going to have videos on showing you how to use all this, right? But a couple things I want to show you. It's just this part right here. This is where you're going to be doing all your stuff. This is the content browser. You're going to add and import your project, any of your assets here. So you can add your assets here. Stuff that you make, you can import it in. It's very exciting to see your own stuff when you model and texture your own stuff and bring it in. That's really cool. Or you can use other assets. Our content, if you click on that, we got our starter content, and that's important. We have props. Okay, so we've got these props you can drag and drop in here, like this chair, this desk, and all this other stuff in here. It's basically just drag and drop, right? And so you got some of this stuff in here you can drag and drop just for fun, just drag and drop it in there. And what's cool about this whole thing is that you can set stuff up. It's to scale. This stuff is. Sometimes you don't have stuff to scale. So the space bar allows you to click on, like if I click on that bush, and I can hit the space bar, and it goes through a manipulator, okay? And the manipulator can be rotational values, right? And if I keep hitting the space, I can scale this up, okay? Uniformly, non-uniformly, just like Maya, okay? So it says right here, you see something down here, it says new plugins are available. A lot of times if that shows up, I can click on that, and it kind of shows me the plugins. One of the first plugins you're going to want to download is the Substance 3D, or they just call it Substance Editor. You're going to have to, it's a plugin for Unreal, and you're going to want that later. So I'll show you how to do that later. But anyway, this is where you can click on new plugins. And so these some of the new plugins it's telling me about. I'm not really interested right now, so I'm just going to close that. More interested in this. So uniform scaling, non-uniform scaling. So you can scale the stuff. You can move this stuff hitting the space bar, right, and moving it. You can zoom into your scene by zooming in with your middle mouse button. You can move up and around. I've got both mouse buttons selected. I'm holding down both the right and the left. I can just hold down the left mouse button and I can rotate. And if I just hold down the right mouse button, it's the same thing, I can rotate. If I hold them up both, I can move up and down, back and forth, right? All right, just kind of have to practice that. There we go. All right. If you want to see a full view of your screen here, you don't want any of this other stuff, hit F11. Now you can see your full view, F11. Okay, that lets you go into your scene, which is really cool. And you can kind of move around by holding down your left mouse button and just kind of zooming around. Very, very cool. Click on objects, I can move them forward, backwards, I can hit the space bar and just kind of again rotate, right? There we go. Now these guys up here, we've got the selection here, you can select, you can click on these guys too as well. It's the same as hitting the space bar. I'm kind of got my mouse up to upper right hand corner. And you can see if you just hover over it, it just lets you know what it is. This is kind of the grid, disables snapping to the grid. Right now the grid is on. If I turn that off, it's going to be free movement, okay? There's not going to be any snapping, okay? Grid snapping. I love grid snapping myself, so I have it on. This is the grid snapping size. So if I do 500, this basically means 500 units. You can see that it's snapping at 500 units. We'll talk about unit spacing here, meaning what is a grid unit? UU, Unreal unit. We need to understand that before we can really understand space inside of Unreal. Okay, that's something we'll be discussing too and learning about. But I thought just would be most fun thing to do is just kind of look at things, move things around. And do you want to go in there and play this? This would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? So I'm going to go hit F11 again. So we need to see what we're doing here. To play this, we need to go into play. So here's a couple things in here. We want to build. Okay, so Unreal, it runs off of realistic lighting, obviously, because you've got reflections and all kinds of stuff. It runs it in real time. So to run in real time, it has to bake those shadows, okay? So that basically means if I move this object, okay, there's no shadows. You're going to see maybe some shadows, but here's the funny thing is if I go in here and play this right now, it will see shadows. You can see that there's shadows in here, right? Okay. So let me hit the escape key. That's how you get out of that. If I move this object over now and this table over now and play it again, because those objects have been rendered with the shadow, the objects do actually follow that object. So I'm going to hit escape again. But let me click on geometry, right? And I'm going to click on box. I'm going to drag and drop that. I'm holding my mouse button, my left mouse button down. I'm going to drag this into it. And you can see that when I hit, see there's no shadows. Okay, so the shadows, there's nothing there. If I move that up, say, and that's just a building block, right? That's called a BSP, binary space partition. If I go in there and I hit my home key, or excuse me, my end key, it'll place it directly on the ground, right? The thing is, we don't see a shadow, right, from the sun. Here's our artificial sun, the sun that's emitting light, but I don't see any shadows in here. Okay, and nothing strong like this box right here. All right, so this is a volume box. I don't usually use those because you can't really Boolean out of those or texture those very well. But anyway, here's the box, right, that we just put in there. And I would have to go into build, right? We want to build lighting only. We want to build what kind of quality we have. Right now it's in preview mode. We want to build geometry, right? So let's click on build geometry. Yep, it went pretty quick. And then let's go ahead and build all. That will build everything. That's probably your safest bet. There we go. And it gives us navigation, building lighting. You can see at the very right hand corner, it's telling us the lighting hasn't been built just yet. 92%. Now this is going to be taxing on your computer. Depending on how fast, this is your graphics card now. A little bit of your CPU and your graphics card. So now you can see the shadow has been baked in. Okay. All right. So now if I go to play, I can go in here and choose my box. I'm just going to have, and I can use my arrows to kind of move forward, and my right and left arrow, right? Now, I'm going to click on escape again. I'm going to move this box over. I'm going to play the game, and notice that the shadow is still there. Okay, now the shadow's still there, and there's no shadow on the box now, which makes it look really fake, and there's nothing grounding it. Not like the other objects. Now the shadow is still there. It's baked in. That's my whole point, is that whenever you use BSPs you create all this really hard, all this work you put into it, create a whole city, let's say, and you've textured it, and you've moved it, and you move something, you have to build again. You have to build lighting and everything to get that shadow again. So I'm going to build it again, and you'll notice the shadow will then be set up properly. Hopefully, it's still working on it. 92% here, should be done in just a little bit. There it is. And it's finished. And you can see the shadows on the box. Okay? So that's basically it, just basic stuff there. We'll get more into it as we learn more how to navigate and move around in Unreal. When you're done, this is really important. When you're done, you want to save all. Click on Save All under the content browser and click on Save Selected. Anything that you created, you moved, you took from your starter content, any of these objects will not be saved if you don't click on Save All. That's the first thing you do. And the second thing you want to do to save your whole entire scene is go to File, Save Current As. Now you're going to name it something, and it's going to save it in your content folder. Okay? All right, so I'm going to name this, just say Test Room, okay, and 01. And no spaces, just underscore, and then click on Save. Now I'm going to go out of here and show you where it went. So I'm going to go into here and go to my File Explorer and go into my data and scroll down to Unreal Projects and go into my module 1, 2, and 3. And here's my interior room. Double click on that, and there it is. Okay, there is my interior room project. Okay, and under my content is my room map that I just saved. It's called a UMAP. Okay, all right. So if I were to restart Unreal, okay, and this is what it looks like, by the way. It looks like this icon right here. Okay, I'm going to click on that. And if I go in here, and let's say I start a new project, or I open this up again. Let's say I close it, and I reopen it. Let's say I reopen it, launch this one. And you can see my interior rooms right here. It showed up. All right, yeah, I'm going to click on that, and I can open my project that way. Let's say if I forget, what do I do? Well, it should open up. So here's the thing. If it says you can't find your project, that means your hard drive's not connected, or you moved your project around. When you do that, it will lose where you placed it, right? So moving it around is a bad idea. So once you get your project placed, it will always find it. If you save it, it will always find it. So I'm going to click on it. Now, if you can't find it, you can click on More, and you still can't find it. I think there's another thing in here. You can click on Browse, and then you can click on Browse. You can find it that way as well. Okay, but it's right here. So I'm going to click on Open Project. And when you do that, it will find where you left off. Okay, that's really important little things. I know this sounds crazy, but it's really important things. Now, what you can do is, I know it's saved in content, right? So how do I know that? Because when I was saving it, I remember it saying content. So right here is my test room 01. There it is. So even if it comes in, let's say if I do this, I close this, right? I go into my hard drive, and let me just give you an example here. So my File Explorer, data, here's another way I can open it, and I'll give you kind of a real quick update on how this works. So I can go into my mod, I can go in here, and I know it's here. So I'm going to double click on this, and that should open up my 4.27.2 because that's where I made it in, and there it is. Okay, what if it came in different? All I would have to do is double click on this icon right here, and it will load up that scene. Okay, so if I could have test room 2, 3, 4, and you always want to save in the sequence, just like in Maya. Save in the sequence, and yeah, it adds up, but whatever you don't want, you can delete later, and these don't take up too much space. All right, that's it for now, and I'll see you in the next video.